Whoa, I'm a married man.
You sure are.
Did you catch this? Spoilers ahead. Although The Big Bang Theory suggests Georgie and Mandy's first marriage will end in divorce, one detail from the spin-off hints at a much more joyful possibility. It's true that Georgie has already been through multiple divorces by the time he appears in Big Bang, but that doesn't necessarily spell doom and gloom for Georgie and Mandy's first marriage as characters. The Georgie and Mandy's First Marriage Season 1 finale puts the couple in troubled waters, now that Mandy will be working under an ex-boyfriend while Georgie's fully focused on running the tire store. The stresses they'll face in Georgie and Mandy's First Marriage Season 2 have ended unions before, but the series is setting up a slightly more complicated journey. Georgie and Mandy's first marriage is already setting up the title character's future divorce. Because it's known that Georgie winds up with a string of exes, it didn't take long into the spinoff for fans to begin speculating on why Georgie and Mandy get divorced. One theory is that Audrey and Mary's ongoing dispute creates familial tensions that drive Georgie and Mandy apart, which is plausible given how little Mary changes in the future. However, Audrey's character growth in Georgie and Mandy's first marriage has been profoundly more significant, and it's hard to imagine she'd continue the feud if she saw it hurting her family to such an extent. The bigger theory is that Mandy's new career will throw a wrench into her marriage, a theory that gained additional traction with Christopher Gorham's introduction. That's not to say that Mandy and Georgie's parting must necessarily hinge on infidelity. Even before Gorham's first appearance, Mandy's chosen career path already highlighted the fundamental incompatibility between her and Georgie. Mandy specifically wants a career that can eventually take her out of Medford and facilitate further travel, whereas Georgie can't even imagine anyone wanting to leave Texas. By contrast, Georgie just wants enough money to live in a big Texas house with a tire-shaped swimming pool. Mandy and Georgie can't realistically pursue their dreams to the fullest without creating distance between them, and the fact that they're both on track to get what they want puts a clock on how long they have before facing that reality. First Marriage's title implies that divorce isn't necessarily the end for Georgie and Man. Even knowing divorce is in their future, it's worrisome to imagine how that might play out in Georgie and Mandy's first marriage. Looking at how First Marriage portrays Mandy's career, there's a strong possibility most characters besides Audrey will blame Mandy for the divorce for being unwilling to compromise on her pursuit of a more glamorous, not to mention competitive, industry. Georgie and Mandy moving out in First Marriage Season 2 could help put off the problem a bit, since it would at least provide Mandy with a change of scenery, but it won't resolve the underlying problem forever. Fortunately, Georgie and Mandy getting divorced at the end of the spinoff doesn't mean they can never get back together. In fact, it's baked right into the title. While it is true that neither character had been previously wed before marrying each other, ambiguity in the title leaves ample room for the interpretation that the possessive is specifically referencing their first marriage to each other. It would arguably make less sense to refer to them collectively in this context otherwise. Moreover, Georgie and Mandy getting remarried in the future wouldn't flagrantly violate what we know from Big Bang. Sheldon's reference to Georgie's ex-wives in the Big Bang Theory finale leaves his current marital status open-ended, meaning that Georgie and Mandy may simply not get remarried for a long time. And it wouldn't be outlandish if they eventually did. The Big Bang Theory hints that Georgie and Mandy are more compatible in the future. Outside of life goals and a sketchy relationship beginning, Georgie and Mandy could be extremely compatible. Their problem is merely that it only takes one major dispute to end a relationship when there's no clear compromise. And at this stage in their lives, it's not feasible for Mandy to leave Medford like she wants while Georgie is growing a store. That's not so much the case in The Big Bang Theory. Once his franchise really gets going, future Georgie will have enough staff and financial resources that traveling or even moving would be less of a life-altering burden. If anything, the occasional move would simply give Georgie an opportunity to focus on opening up a new franchise location. Getting back together after some time apart also resolves one of the more practical issues with a couple shacking up while one of them is still a teenager. Georgie married Mandy while he was still too young to have really found a sense of direction, and Audrey isn't wrong that the marriage did few favors for Mandy's trajectory as well. In the end, it's not hard to imagine them winding up happy in the long run. Georgie's relationship with Jim McAllister is strong, and he has no shortage of love for Audrey and Connor as well. Georgie and Mandy's first marriage gives us every reason to root for their future. It just might not be a particularly immediate one. Enjoy Screen Rant's primetime coverage? Click below to sign up for our weekly Network TV newsletter. Make sure to check Network TV in your preferences and get the inside scoop from actors and showrunners on your favorite series. Thanks for watching.